You want to hear a wild paradox? Imagine seeking guidance for personal development, but from people that are actually emotionally immature or emotionally stagnated. You ever see a man seeking personal development from somebody that refers to the best kind of man or a real man as like an alpha man and to avoid other types or other labels? Well, it's fascinating because it's that you are either an alpha, that you are a real man, or that you are not an alpha and you are not a real man. So you're either this or you're that. It's black or white thinking. And the fascinating thing is that I know that people follow these kinds of labels, these kinds of ideas for, being a man or being a woman, being a real man, being a real woman. But it's fascinating because essentially you're seeking guidance from somebody who's trying to put you back into this box. Somebody that is emotionally immature, somebody that is emotionally stagnated. I see it for what I believe it is, which is black or white thinking, rooted in emotional immaturity, emotional stagnation. When you look at Freudian psychology, psychoanalytic theory, there's the id, the ego, and the superego. Black or white thinking is entirely originated in infancy. It's the very first thing that is born as an entity in any human being. People that were emotionally stagnated in infancy, in the area of the id, they see things in a very black or white way. It could be very much severe and they literally see everything, or they just have a little bit of black or white thinking. It's not good or bad or right or wrong because that in and of itself is black or white thinking. It's just not healthy. So maybe you're trying to become an alpha male as you've been kind of like bought into that whole thing. Yeah, there are characteristics of that. There are ideas of what that is. People have talked about what it is. But what if your pursuit of trying to become that is actually getting you further and further away from the healthiest version of you? What if it's not about becoming an alpha male? What if it's not about becoming a beta male? What if it's not about becoming this or that? What if it's more so about recognizing the actual complexity of personality? Personality, a human's personal development, is not so simple as to be black or white, this or that. It's far more complex in terms of detail. If I were to try to become an alpha male, I would actually be trying to get away from the authenticity of myself. Now, the fascinating thing is that this can end up being a mask of insecurity for people because they were taught that they couldn't be who they were in childhood. That was the survival mode that they were bought into because they wanted the acceptance, they wanted the validation, they wanted the approval, they wanted the love. So what did they do? They masked up and they became somebody else. And then what happens for them into adulthood? Oh, well, then they seek guidance from people that actually match their belief systems that they learned in childhood about black or white thinking. People that seek guidance from those that teach and preach about alpha males, that you're either a real man or you're not a real man, and there's no in between, it's black or white thinking. They go after that because they resonate with that, because that's what happened in their development early on in childhood. And they just stayed in that area of thinking. It was never corrected. Again, it's not good or bad or right or wrong, because that in and of itself is black or white thinking. It's just not healthy. So, what if the development of an actual healthy self entails going beyond all of these this or that black or white thinking um, structures, and more so into diving into yourself, getting real silent and not listening to a bunch of this or that, and more so diving into yourself and understanding that you yourself are far more complex, which quite honestly is a beautiful thing. The structure of your personality is complex. You liking something that doesn't appear to be popular does not make you good or bad or right or wrong. It doesn't make you maybe, I don't know, a loser like you've been taught to, or in some ways people have used the word pussy, weak. It doesn't matter what it is, it's just a word. But all of these words are utilized to manipulate you, to pull you, to push you pretty much away from yourself. What is it that you actually like? Who is it that you actually want to be? And it's not about trying to become an alpha male. It's about getting closer to the things that are actually important to you. You don't have to give up who you are for this world, for society, for people. You don't have to follow these ideals that come with becoming an alpha male or all of these other things that are centered around black or white thinking. It's rooted in emotional immaturity. Again, it's not good or bad or right or wrong, it's just not healthy. So imagine that. Imagine you were to step away from trying to be somebody, and imagine the process that takes you in a healthy direction is just letting go and recentering yourself with you. And I understand that these people that preach this stuff and they try to pull you into these things, they get you to believe that you're never going to find a person that is going to love you for who you are. It's bullshit. It's all manipulation. It's all gaslighting. It's all unhealthy. You don't have to become somebody that doesn't feel authentic for you just to be seen by society. This stuff is rooted in black or white thinking, which is rooted in emotional immaturity, infancy. The id is based in all or nothing dynamics, life or death. It is very emotional. And that's the thing, too, because people that are very much caught up in id or any other parts of emotional immaturity, they see a lot of things in a very black or white way. You're either a real man or you're not. Here's what you need to do to be a real man. It's bullshit. The question that I would ask you is instead, who are you? Underneath all of the noise and with the silence, because you've probably been listening to a bunch of noise for a very long time because you've been insecure about who you are, because your childhood conditioning, the development of who you were, all the trauma and everything led you into deeply rooted insecurities that very much so distracted you away from yourself because you didn't have healthy ego state development. A lot of this stuff can be answered in Freudian psychology, in psychoanalytic theory, the id, the ego, and the superego. Looking at the ego state is the most important thing here. Not deriving yourself from the external, not tying your sense of self to the external. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about you. You get to determine yourself. And with that, would you rather try to become an idea of something, or would you rather center with yourself? And I understand that that might sound like this or that, and that would be black or white thinking, but you can strive to become an alpha male if you want to. My personal opinion, based on experience and what I've learned, is that the more you try to chase that idea, the further away from yourself you're getting. Because an alpha male is separate from who I am. It's just the way that it is. The beta, sigma, all that stuff. Quite honestly, it's bullshit. It's just a fucking label. We attach meaning to it. We create these ideas and the meaning that we attach to them. It's just fucking noise. Did you get healthy ego state development? Maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't have a healthy childhood. Because of that, you might actually be insecure. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just understandable that with that, you're seeking guidance to get more developed as a self, as a sense of self. It is my opinion that trying to chase these ideas, these labels of being an alpha male, a beta male, a sigma male, whatever it is, it's just getting you further away from yourself. It's just noise. Sure, they have characteristics, but it's still just noise at the end of the day. Who do you actually want to be? Have you actually taken the time in silence to listen to yourself? You may realize that you have interests that are separate from the things that you were taught that you're supposed to be interested in, simply because you were raised by people that pounded you with a bunch of different things. Supposed to this, supposed to that, should this, should that. That's the way that your father did it. That's the way that your parent, so on and so forth. Generational stuff. Who are you? And are you just trying to chase these labels because it's comfortable, because it's familiar, because it's rooted in black or white thinking, because you're either this or you're that, and you definitely don't want to be this, because then you're a pussy, then you're a loser, then you're fucking weak, then no one's gonna fucking want you. I'm laughing because I see it for what it is. And to me, it is sad that people chase these labels because they're insecure and they want to be somebody. You might discover that you can become more authentic for yourself when you get real fucking silent. You stop listening to all the fucking noise. Because it's up to you. It is black or white thinking. Either you're an alpha male or you're not. Either you're a real man or you're not. That's see it for what it is.